why they were called a Zweihander is simple. These were imported from the likes of Germany. Simply two hands to wield this weapon. You could not use one hand sufficiently on the battlefield. There is a difference you may have already noticed between my sword and his, and that is the lugs on his blade. They are not there for artist impression, they are not there to look evil. They are there for a reason. The reason being, because we are the bodyguard of the king, you may come up against a spear unit. Now, spear unit is filled with a bunch of manky peasants holding big poles. They simply lower the pole towards their opponent and march forward. He would then use the horns, knock to the side and hack my leg off. Now, being a peasant, I would not be able to afford armour unless I was in Hollywood, and then I would be in a full suit of armour to try and capture the flag. Now, when we see horsemen charging towards us, we do this. We very stupidly, very bravely, stand side by side. We rest the sword on our hip. We then hold on to the ricasso. This is also called half-arming the sword, which we'll demonstrate later. And we pray to God that the horse is not thick. Most horses are intelligent and will not run themselves onto a sharp, pointy thing. Instead, they throw the rider, in which case we simply kill the rider. But we here in Scotland had a better idea.
To run away. It's my preferred match.
He would run away. He spends most of his time at the back. Anyway, he would stand there, waiting, watching these men charge towards you with bloodlust in their eyes. Then at the last moment, jump to the side and hack the horse's leg off. The horse will then fall to the ground, and yet again you finish the rider. But these weapons come into their own when it's man on man. At this point, you would have to have studied your fighting manual. There was depictions, books, showing you how to use these weapons. It was not hack and slash on the battlefield. You are shown pictures as well as text to use this weapon. For example, pictures of men standing like this, or like this, or our favourite. Now, as I said, when you meet a man with a similar weapon to you, you have to pray that you know your weapon better than he does.
Now, soldiers of James III, or that of the enemies of James III, would be well versed in the art of this sword. This is not a common sword, but is not a rare sword. These swords were used by the elite, therefore I shouldn't actually be using one of these unless, of course, I have more armour. But for the sake of demonstration, I shall. Now, the soldiers would hold their swords in various guards or wards. Now, the book, of course, as the builder already said, was illustrated so that the illiterate, like him, could actually understand fully how the sword worked. It's an instruction manual. This spec book is an instruction manual, and as we know, gentlemen, we only read the instructions once we've messed something up. But these soldiers would be well versed with this fighting book, this spec book. Now, just as he puts on his helmet. Now, the soldiers would know there's 100 odd guards, wards, counter defences, counter wards, etc. They're all in this book, this fighting manual. The soldiers would be well versed in them. That of the elite soldiery, not the common soldiers. Peasants would not be given weapons like these. Peasants usually took to the battlefield with spears, axes. So the hanging guard, not only you're using two hands, it is a Zweihander, it is a two-handed great sword. So he's using one hand here. So the hanging guard, you could go for anywhere you like.
Okay.
Anywhere. Being lightweight sword. It can be swung around very easily. It's only 7.5 pounds in weight. Now, soldiers did adopt that stance when they are crashing into battle. In a standoff situation, they could use what's called the crossguard. The crossguard can enable you to swing your sword round in any direction, leg, head, or like a spear. Now, if I were to meet with an opponent on the battlefield who is carrying a similar weapon to mine, I would have to think twice. Chivalry, the whole idea of fighting fair, goes out the window when you are fighting a battle. Now, because he's not a knight, he's not worth any money. The only way that I won't want to kill him is if he was a knight or a nobleman. He will be worth more to me as a hostage for ransom money. Because he's not that of a knight or a noble, I would want to kill him. Now, you can read all these novels about how chivalrous the knights were. On the battlefield, if he's not worth money, it's kill or be killed. I do not want to fight him on a level playing field. I want to get the advantage. I would execute what is called the murder stroke. The murder stroke uses every single component of the sword. It uses the blade as a shaft. I can use the lugs, I can use the quillins, I can even use the pommel at the top. The murder stroke is to disarm your opponent. So when I reach over, and hook onto his blade, and I'm aiming to pull his sword off of him. Now, if he resists for too strongly, which you really can't do with only 2 fingers in that hand, but just imagine he had more strength in both of his hands, and he resists. What I would do is I would strike him right in the head with the pommel of the sword. Of course, his helmet, this way. I'm here. Right, oh, sorry about that. The pommel here, the heavy weight has obviously disorientated him slightly. Now, if he was smart, if he really knew what he was doing, as I executed the murder stroke, like so, and as I went to pull down, if he releases, the heavy weight of the pommel will fall to the ground. He could then smack me right in the face with the pommel. I'm too smart for that, because as he would do this, I would simply jump to one side, use the quillins and hook in behind his leg. As you can see, he can't go anywhere. I would hook in here until he dramatically falls to the ground. Well, dramatically hit the ground. It's maybe snap his legs. There we go. I know I'm sorry about yourself. Now, on the battlefield, you will probably have noticed how he went for 2 head shots, 2 leg shots. You wouldn't stand there and do the same all game. You would of course mix it up slightly, so he doesn't know where exactly you are going. It would be swift and it would be brutal. These swords again can be used in the same way as the Skylanders.
I'd say, for example, it was not just cut and parry. This man has a blade that is bigger than mine. I would normally be carrying my sword in my right hand. So, I'll just set this up here. Hopefully this works. As you may have noticed, his has a slight diamond section on his blade. That means that he can aim for gaps in my armour and try and prise it open. When he does so, simply stand to one side and wrap the blade up. From here I can twist and take his blade out. But if he is clever and if he has read his manual, he simply reaches over and twists. I am in a position he can then knee me and face it. In doing so, he can dislocate my arm, snap my arm in 2 places. This is not very good. But as I said, you would also use the sword the same way as you would use the great swords, with the use of the murder stroke. Simply comes up and I can block. From here I can bring him down, pommel him, or simply do the same, reach over, catch him in his neck and smash him in the face with my knee, which will do more damage.
Now,